If you guys are familiar with the underground hip-hop scene on the internet, you're probably familiar with the Twitch streamer Plaqueboy Max. He does these segments called Song Wars on his Twitch streams where he brings on his artist friends or just artists that he hits up to be a part of it, and they come on and they'll play either unreleased songs that they have, or maybe they'll make a song in like a certain amount of time. On one of his most recent Song Wars, he had Jace on there, and Jace played an unreleased song called Counter-Strike, and it was produced by me and Gateway. It was pretty cool to have him play this song on that stream because a couple of the guest judges were Trippie Redd and Benny X, and they actually really liked the song. I think Benny X actually gave it a 9.5, which was kind of crazy to hear. But anyways, for this video today, I'm just going to be showing you guys how I took Gateway's MIDI and made that loop for the song, and then ended up flipping the loop into the beat. So over in FL, we got the project file pulled up. Initially we're at 138 BPM. A lot of the Jace beats and loops that I make are typically around the range of 130 to 140. I just think that kind of BPM matches his style pretty well. Unfortunately, I made this on my laptop, so a couple of the melody presets didn't actually save when I transferred the zip over to my PC. But I have the rendered out sound, so I'll just play that, and I'll just show you guys the MIDI. So starting off with the main MIDI from Gateway, it's looking like this. I put an analog lab preset over it. Like I said, I don't know exactly what the preset was, I can't remember, but it ended up sounding like this. Like I say in pretty much every single Jace video I do, I always start off with some sort of like ambient pad layer just to kind of build that atmosphere right away. So the next thing I added was a sound from Contact. Again, I don't have this preset saved, but it's just the exact same MIDI copied over. And then this is what it sounds like. If I remember correctly, I believe this preset is from the Contact Bank Glaze. It's like a bunch of vocal one-shots, pads, and stuff like that. So then the next layer I do have the sound for, it's Pigments, and it's called the Space Bass, and I just followed the root notes of the original MIDI. Then next up I added another Pigments, and I'm using the preset ARP Digital Dash, and I just laid down this G sharp note that pitches up an octave after one bar and then just switches back down and repeats, and that sounded like this. So just kind of like a little like fluttery background layer to add. So then we have this preset from Analog Lab. It just added like a lead pattern. This is what the MIDI sounds like. Again, this didn't load properly, so I'm not too sure what the actual preset was, but this is what it sounds like. So just like a super simple lead pattern, just adds a lot of like movement. Then the next thing I added was a one shot from this Chemix kit, and it's called the Romantic Synth. And I just played out this MIDI. You probably notice a lot in my loops that I like to use the glide notes with one shots. I think it just adds a super cool like texture and just kind of like uniqueness to the loop that you can't necessarily get out of a VST. And then the last thing I added was just this bell one shot. It just kind of adds like a little spacey accent layer. So that's it for the entire loop. I'll just play it all together so you guys can hear it individually. So looking at the beat, you can see that I didn't even really split up the patterns for the drums. A lot of the times I'll do this where I don't split them up, but instead I'll just like cut out certain pockets to create variation in the beat. Starting off, I just took the loop and put it into its own mixer channel, and then just got some EQs to cut the lows out. And a lot of the times with my loops, I'll take like a separate EQ and just kind of shape it to get rid of like any harsh sounds or sounds that are sticking out too much. And then first drum sound we're starting with is just the clap. And then we added a hi-hat. Then next thing was the 808. Then I added two separate open hats. This first open hat plays pretty regularly throughout the beat, but it just turned down kind of quiet. And then this other open hat plays at just like the 1, the 3, 5, and 7. And then last things I added were a couple perks and then a snare. So the first perk hits at the end. It sounds like this. Just kind of like a little bit of a transitioning percussion. Then I added a triangle to hit on the 1 and in between the 4 and the 5. And then last thing I added was this snare. Just kind of like a little accent to fill in some gaps. And that's pretty much the beat. As far as arrangement goes, I just laid out the entire loop, took out some sounds here and there, and cut out some of the drum sounds. Really nothing crazy. I don't spend too much time on my arrangements. A lot of the times I'll find that artists will kind of just like rearrange a beat if they hear something different than what you've done. So it doesn't really matter too much. As long as it's not boring for the first like 30 seconds and it grabs their attention, then that's all that it really needs to do. So yeah, that's it for this beat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked the breakdown. Let me know if there's any other songs from Jace that you want to see broken down. I have a ton of like unreleased stuff that I'd be happy to share. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. We're almost at 3K. We're like 40 followers away. But as soon as we hit 3K, I'm dropping my 3K drum kit. So yeah, stay tuned over there. Follow me on there. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I will see you next time. Peace.